Hello, everybody. So I'm gonna call this video series "Sloppy Astrology." It's the same name as an Instagram channel that I have, um, but that is for shorter videos. And I wanted to do a little bit of a longer form video series every Monday for like astrology related topics. Side note, I'm not an astrologer. I don't claim to be an astrologer, but I do get affected by planets, energy, everything that goes on, and it's good to know this stuff. So I look it up and I'm trying to make a video, and if it makes sense to you, great. If not, no harm, no foul. Plenty of other different types of videos on this channel. So let's get into it. Let's start with Mercury entering Leo, and that happened August 9th, which is Sunday, the day that I'm recording this video. You're most likely seeing this on August 10th. So, Mercury entering Leo takes place of Cancer, where Mercury was for I don't know how long. I'm going to say maybe a month. And Mercury in Cancer was more watery, emotional energy. So a lot of what was coming up was communication from this place of overthinking or feeling or misunderstanding, because we're swimming in energy and we're swimming in feelings and we don't know how to place them. So what goes on is we're still speaking and communicating from the heart, but it's more sighted, more bold, more creative. And instead of overthinking what we're supposed to be saying or how it might affect us, we're taking that out of the way and we're speaking from a place of being bold and direct. We also want to be colorful and more willing to take up space. And we're not interested in managing somebody else's expectations of us. We're more interested in saying what's actually true for us. And keep in mind, what is true for you may not be true for somebody else. So when you're communicating bold, decisive actions to somebody, understand that while you maybe communicate in the correct manner, how they take it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. So this invitation with Mercury and Leo is extremely simple. We've shrunk too much and we've shrunk our voice too much to keep the peace. That stops now as of August 9th. And you might have felt it coming a week or two ago when you maybe woke up and went, where have I not been expressing my truth? And that was the preamble. So from here on out, what happens is we speak our truth, but we also notice where pride tips into being inflexible, because Leo can dig in its heels when it feels challenged. On Tuesday, Mars is going to enter Cancer, and Mars is the planet of drive, action, and desire. So Mars in Cancer is more of a warrior. It's less about charging forward and more about protecting what matters for you and for your loved ones. And it's motivated by feeling and loyalty, right? But it also is motivated by the need to create safety for yourself and those around you. And truth be told, as of August 11th, you might start to feel a little bit more defensive, more protective, especially of your energy and your home and boundaries. And what you might notice is that where there were no boundaries, you might start creating some boundaries, right? Your decisions come from a gut rather than the head. You stop overthinking and you're more action oriented. And you could find yourself acting on sentiment, defending either yourself or somebody else, understanding that nurturing is coming along, or suddenly realizing you are what you're no longer willing to fight for. And Mars doesn't love being in Cancer. It can feel restless or reactive if feelings get bottled up. So the practice is to notice when irritation or protectiveness really does rise and ask, why am I trying to keep safe? Is this response coming from love or from an old fear? And Mars in Cancer is inviting us to act from the heart instead of from the head. It's also asking us to not become that emotional caretaker of everybody, including yourself. Say what needs to be said, do the actions, be protective, but don't overdo it. So the big thing that's going to happen is the solar eclipse in Leo. It's going to be Wednesday, and it's going to be in 20 degrees of Leo. And this is the main event of the week, where everything else is just kind of a side plate or a runner up, right? Solar eclipses are basically just like new moons on steroids, and they open portals, they accelerate timelines. random things can and do happen when eclipses happen, and it's eclipse season. So we start on the 12th and it goes to the 20, somewhere on the 20th, but that 2 or 3 week span opens up the next 6 months of your life, right? And it allows you to plant seeds, and things start to fully reveal themselves. And when one something lands in Leo, it's a sign of the heart. So you start understanding more creativity, you start becoming a little bit more self-expressive, you're worried or focused more on visibility and being authentic, especially authentic leadership. And it's also happening with Jupiter and Leo amplifying everything. Solar eclipses are also a really good chance for sudden clarity around who you are becoming and what wants to be expressed through you. So if you suddenly find that you need to do something, or you need to create something, or you're no longer the person you thought you were, it's because of the solar eclipse. It's also a good way to notice where you've been a smaller version of yourself. Where have you been holding back? And the astrology for the last year has all been about what are you doing to keep yourself small, and what are the patterns that are keeping you small so you can deal with this effectively. This may be a time where you suddenly realize that you can't be small anymore. You can't hold back. You have to be bold. You have to be gregarious. You have to really put everything on the table creatively to move forward in whatever direction you want. And because this eclipse sits near the south node, there's also a strong theme of release, old ways of doing things, right? The story of who you were versus who you are and who you are becoming. It's going to be more in this aspect of, this is an old version of me. This is not me anymore. I have to turn into this new person, and it's going to ramp up. And you are going to be more willing to leave behind who you were, because it's not who you are anymore. It doesn't jive with the energy that you're moving into. You also might feel the urge to start or end something, or find yourself in a different light. And that is the same as starting and end something, because we're looking at what doesn't serve us in the long run. And not just now, but 6 months from now, a year from now, because these are planting seeds for who you are becoming, not who you are now. So if you're suddenly waking up during this eclipse season and realizing things need to end, things need to change, I have a way different way of thinking, go with that. Don't stop it, because the more you try and stop yourself from growing, especially during this eclipse season, you're going to understand that there's a lot more pain involved with it. So just let things happen the way they're happening, grow into something new, and let go of who you were, to embrace who you're becoming. And this eclipse season opens up a portal of change that lasts 6 months. So what begins now, what you are changing now, you're not going to see until either the end of the year or the beginning of the next year. So if things are changing and you're not seeing an end route or an opening in the next month, don't worry about it. Your opening is going to be in January or February of next year. But you're planting seeds for the long run, instead of just doing quick changes and waiting for something to show up. Things aren't going to show up for a while. So how is it all going to weave together? This is how. Mercury in Leo is going to give us the language and the courage to speak. Mars in Cancer asks us to protect what is tender while we do it. And the Leo eclipse cracks open the possibility of a more authentic expression of self. The risk this week is swinging between two massively different poles. You're either roaring so loudly we forget to listen, or retreating into protective silence because everything feels too overwhelming. If you can, find a protective middle. Find a decent middle. Speak your truth, but remember, there is listening involved, because everybody else is going to be speaking their truth. Everybody else is going to be coming out and awakening and understanding who they truly are. So yes, you have to stand your ground, but remember where everything is a little bit of push-pull and a little bit of give. So speak loudly, but listen quietly, right? Listen and understand what other people are going through. So the best part about this eclipse is you don't have to force anything. Eclipses, they work whether or not we are fully engaged or not. All you can do is understand what is happening behind the scenes, right? You can ask yourself some questions like, what wants to be expressed through me? What am I still protecting that no longer needs protection? And where have I been playing small in the name of safety? You're asking all these questions and you will get the answers. It may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, but you will get an answer and it will be come in the form of growth. Then, after you ask the questions, all you have to do is take one small, honest action in the direction of that answer. And that's all you need to do. It's going to be a weird week, maybe even a little bit emotional, maybe a little bit standoffish. But if we understand what is truly going on inside of us and what changes are coming up and being asked of us, we can take this week and ride it to glory. So hopefully that made sense. If you like this, a little bit longer video, cool. I will see you next week.